remember, we've got 3 in the body. We've got 3 fibers: collagen, elastic, reticular. Reticular tissue, reticular fibers allow for this huge web-like structure to form. Well, guess what gets to happen in the lymph node? Not only will my T cells be sitting and waiting for something in my lymph nodes, it allows for the stuff to get stuck. Those little bursts that showed up on the video, that's because of the reticular fibers. We have our lymph vessels. Note the red and the blue are my arteries and veins. Usually the lymph system is represented with green, nervous system with yellow. What do you notice about the pathway of these green or these lymphatic vessels? Michelle?
They run along the side.
They are right there with the vessels of the arteries and the veins. Almost right there beside them, because they begin at the capillaries. So, the spleen is very important, but we can live without it. All right? Usually, if something happens and a person has to have a splenectomy, the liver will take over that job, which the liver's already busy. Trust me on that. And they're finding, anybody in here ever had their appendix taken out? Okay? They're finding that even though the appendix is a vestigial organ, something left over from way, way early in development, that it has the ability to help with the immune system. But we can live without it. Now, are you affected if you like lose the spleen and stuff? Yeah. Okay, just have to be a little more careful about getting sick and that sort of thing. And then my bone marrow. Because early on, it is the bone marrow, that area for development of these cells, that we give rise to these cells. Which cells am I referring to for this system? The red or the white? The white cells. Meaning, we have our, do you guys remember monocytes, lymphocytes, and then we have all these other stuff like this, basophils, neutrophils, all that sort of stuff, okay? This lymphatic system is wanting to get you to think about these lymph vessels, okay? And then immunity is where it wants you to begin to think about something such as an antibody. Ever heard of an antibody? What does it do? Nick?
This might be wrong, but doesn't it it involves like when it detects something foreign, like a bacterial in your system, and it doesn't place a tag? Does it place a tag on that cell so it can be destroyed?
Yes. And it can also cause, I'm not sure if you guys remember when we were talking about blood. Do you guys remember what happened if you were given the wrong blood type? Because you have the antibodies against the wrong blood type, and it would go and attach to that cell that was wrong, that red blood cell, and it caused the clumping to occur. Do you remember that? Okay, that was called the agglutination. Okay, and there's a video on that too. And antibodies, that, well, you know, they want to work against something that would be considered foreign in the body. So they can get produced by my immune system. But my lymphatic system, let this bring to mind those vessels that we're going to find, okay? So, it's that network of vessels that I've been trying to point out. They penetrate almost all tissues, so not all of them. What we're going to find is in this system, we're going to have these vessels and some tissues and organs, and we're going to lead up to production of immune cells. The system has three functions. The first function, fluid recovery. When we were talking about the blood vessels at this capillary level, we kept mentioning the extracellular fluid and how if we didn't have proper exchange, that we could have too much fluid drawn out, which would kill the cells of that tissue, or fluid could be left behind, i.e. edema, okay, which would also kill the tissues or kill the cells, all right? So the lymphatics, based on where they are found and the job that they do, they are continuously helping to filter fluid at that cellular level. Now, we're at the level of those blood capillaries. We're going to see that about 85% recovery at the capillary level. Basically, we get about 85% picked up by the blood vessels. That is a very good filtration exchange that occurs just by the blood vessels themselves. But wait a minute, if it's only roughly about 85%, 15% stay in behind. So every time that heart beats, and if 100% goes, and 85% is recovered, but 15% stays behind, within just a short amount of time, that's a lot of fluid getting left behind. So let's say it was 2 ounces. Well, let's go with something easy. Let's go with 100, because I can do that math easier, okay? So 85 ounces would get recovered, but 15 would stay behind on that heartbeat. The next heartbeat, 85%, but now I got 30 ounces that has stayed behind. So do you see where I'm going with this? So the lymphatics, they do about 15% recovery, what's left. However, their flow is much longer. When we look at the heartbeat, you know, a red blood cell usually makes a path around the body about once every minute. The lymph is not that quick. The flow, much longer, okay, way longer than that, but they still handle about 2 to 4 liters of fluid per day, which in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot of fluid within the body. Think about drinking 2 to 4 liters at one time, okay? So, their goal, help keep extracellular fluid levels correct. And In the process, if anything foreign is in this tissue, and those vessels are constantly having the fluid move in, hopefully we'll get it recovered. And those cells will not be affected by that foreign substance. Because that's where anything that tries to invade us goes. What do I mean by that? When anything tries to invade us, i.e., bacteria, virus, it attacks at what level? My cellular level. So the hope is that anything that tried to invade us will get picked up either through our circulatory system or with the lymphatics. Does that make sense? So we got to have our fluid recovery. The second thing, because it's got 3 jobs, the second thing is my immunity. As that fluid at that tissue level, and note, they're trying to show you here some of these lymph capillaries, okay? As it's picked up, hopefully anything that would be foreign, cells, chemicals, whatever the case might be, hopefully the lymph vessels can help to pick it up. And there, when that pickup takes place and it becomes part of the fluid that's now going to move through my vessels, hopefully as it passes through the lymph vessels, it encounters lymph nodes. So, hopefully as it passes through the lymph nodes, my immune cells, mostly T cells, B cells, okay? Because other immune cells, the neutrophils, the eosinophils, all those other ones are hopefully already in the bloodstream in a certain amount. Okay? We don't want an overproduction of them. Hopefully, they'll encounter the immune cells in the lymph node. And if needed, in other words, if that foreign particle cannot be taken care of at the level of this lymph node, it will then invoke the immune response. That's when things get interesting, okay? The third thing that we need to do, believe it or not, lipid absorption. Our lipids. Now, the lipid absorption that we have in our body, this is done at the level of the small intestines. So the lymph vessels that are located there, they're called lacteals. Their job, pick up dietary lipids. Anything that wasn't absorbed by the capillaries, the blood capillaries, at the level of the small intestines, lymph pick it up. Now, the ones that get picked up by the capillaries, they're going to get dropped off at the cellular level. and they're going to be used. But the one